Stop chasing the summit, fall in love with the climb. The real reward isn't the goal, it's who you become on the way there. Legends are built in the boring, the unseen, the mundane. When life delays your dreams, it's not rejection, it's refinement. Because every struggle, every quiet morning, every hard thing, it's preparing you for something far greater than you planned. We live in a world obsessed with outcomes, titles, goals, trophies, and timelines. Everyone is racing to arrive, to achieve, to prove. But here's the quiet truth that separates those who truly win in the long run. The man who loves walking will always outlast the man who's obsessed with the destination. Why? Because the destination is a moment, but the journey, that's your life. The man who only lives for the goal will always be chasing, always feeling like he's not quite there. The celebration is short-lived, and then he's empty again, looking for the next target. But the man who finds joy, discipline, and fulfillment in the process, in the grind, the repetition, the growth, he doesn't need to arrive to feel successful. He's already winning every single day. Mastery isn't a trophy, it's a lifestyle. It's waking up and doing the work, not because you have to, but because something deep inside you wants to. Because the act of doing, improving, and showing up becomes a part of who you are. Whether it's your craft, your fitness, your art, your business, or your character, true greatness doesn't come from one big leap. It's built in thousands of small, invisible steps that most people never see. The world praises outcomes, but those outcomes are built on the boring, insistent, unglamorous reps, the ones you do when no one's watching, when there's no applause, no recognition, and no guarantee of success. But you do it anyway. That's the secret. That's where the magic is. Fall in love with the walk. Learn to love the struggle, the early mornings, the late nights, the setbacks, the tiny improvements. Because when you love the process, you become unstoppable. The man obsessed with the end burns out when it's hard. But the man who walks for the love of walking, he just keeps going. So if you want mastery, stop chasing the finish line. Start showing up for the practice, day by day, brick by brick, with heart, with hunger, with humility, because the path itself is the prize. And the one who embraces the journey will never run out of fuel. Be the one who walks not to arrive, but because walking is who you are. We're taught to chase goals, dream big, visualize success, aim high. But here's what nobody tells you. Chasing the goal alone will burn you out. Because goals are slippery, they move, they stretch, they disappear when you get close, and worse, when you finally catch them, they often feel empty. But when you stop obsessing over getting there and start obsessing over doing the work, everything changes. Goals don't respond to pressure. You can't demand results, force recognition, or rush greatness. It doesn't work that way. In fact, the more desperate your chase, the further they run. But when you shift your focus to the work, the grind, the reps, the uncomfortable silence of progress, goals stop resisting and start yielding. That's the paradox. The person who's fixated on the outcome is constantly measuring, comparing, questioning. Am I there yet? Why not me? What's taking so long? But the person who's in love with the process, he's too busy building to notice how far he's come until one day he looks up and realizes he's surpassed every milestone he once prayed for. The real game is falling in love with the craft, the sweat, the late nights, the boring parts, the quiet improvement no one claps for. Because when you master, That when the work becomes your obsession, success stops being a question of if and becomes a matter of when. Achievements, they become side effects. Goals, they start chasing you. Recognition, it arrives long after you've stopped needing it. So stop hunting trophies. Start sharpening tools. Obsess over your habits, your effort, your attitude, because results don't come to the person who wants them most. They come to the one who's relentless in doing the work long after motivation fades. Let others chase glory, you chase growth. And one day, everything they were chasing will land quietly at your feet because you earned it in silence. We often believe that once we reach that milestone, get that promotion, find that success, we'll finally feel fulfilled. But here's the truth no one prepares you for. Every arrival creates a new mountain. Every summit you reach only reveals another, higher one in the distance. It's an endless cycle, goal after goal, peak after peak. And if your happiness is tied only to the high points, you'll spend most of your life feeling empty, impatient, and defeated. Because the truth is, you don't live at the peak, you pass through it. The real living, the real becoming happens in the climb. It's in the early mornings when no one's watching. It's in the failures that test your resilience. It's in the sacrifices no one thanks you for. That's the beauty people miss. Peaks are brief, climbs are constant. And if you hate the climb, you'll hate most of your journey. Because life doesn't reward those who chase only the destination, it honors those who find meaning and fire in the process. Yes, celebrate your wins, enjoy the view when you reach the top, but don't build your identity around those moments. Instead, fall in love with the struggle, with learning, with evolving, with showing up when it's hard. Because that's where grit is forged. That's where confidence is built. That's where joy becomes real, not in achieving, but in becoming. True greatness doesn't come from reaching the mountain. It comes from the man who keeps climbing again and again, not because he has to, but because it's who he is. So climb not for the photo at the top, not for applause, but because the climb makes you alive. The journey is the gift, don't miss it. Everyone talks about the big days, graduations, promotions, weddings, the Instagrammable moments that shout success. But those moments, they're fleeting. They're the highlight reel, not the full story. The truth is, life is built on mundane Mondays, ordinary mornings, unseen effort, silent consistency. If you're only living for the next mountaintop moment, you're missing the power of the present. Because real growth doesn't happen on stage, it happens in the shadows, in the repetition, in the unglamorous, in the days no one sees, and the effort no one applauds. Think about it. How many times have you waited for that big break, only to feel underwhelmed once it came? That's because meaning doesn't live in the milestone. It lives in the making, and who you become during the grind, the discipline you build when you don't feel like it, the courage to show up on a regular day with uncommon focus. The person who succeeds long-term is the one who finds beauty in the boring, who doesn't need fireworks to feel fulfilled, who wakes up on a Monday, laces up, and gets to work not for attention, but because it's who they are. Mundane Mondays are where champions are built. It's where marriages are strengthened, businesses are grown, and dreams are kept alive, not with flash, but with quiet, consistent fire. So yes, celebrate the mountaintops when they come, but never overlook the value of the daily climb. Because if you can learn to cherish the grind, love the process, and stay faithful, On the average days, you'll create a life that's anything but average. Don't wait for magic. Bring it to the mundane. That's where the real masterpiece is made. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort, dodging challenges, avoiding friction, seeking the easiest way out. But comfort doesn't build character. Comfort builds complacency. If you want to rise, to lead, to last, you have to do what most won't. Train yourself to crave the hard path. Because greatness is never found on the shortcut. It's built in the long, uphill battle. It's built when things don't come easy and you show up anyway. Resistance is not your enemy, it's your forge. Just like muscles are strengthened through tension, your integrity, discipline, and resilience are born in the heat of resistance. Every time you choose effort over ease, honesty over shortcuts, persistence over quitting, you're proving to yourself who you really are. Want to build uncheckable confidence? Do the hard thing consistently, especially when no one's watching. That's when integrity is born, not when things are easy, but when quitting is tempting and you don't. When you could lie, cheat, or take the fast lane but you don't. That's the kind of man or woman the world can't break. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel ready. But if you've trained yourself to see resistance as a gift, not a curse, you'll keep moving while others stall. So stop fearing the climb, start loving it. Seek out the work that tests you, welcome the friction that shapes you. Because when you begin to crave challenges, you become the kind of person who can't be stopped. Integrity isn't claimed, it's earned. And the currency is resistance. Crave it, face it, rise through it. We've all said it. When I get the job, I'll be happy. When I lose the weight, I'll feel confident. When I finally make it, then I'll enjoy life. But here's the raw truth. That mindset is a trap, because even when you get the extra chasing, you'll just move the finish line. You'll want the next thing, 10, then the next. That's how the human mind works. It adapts, it resets, and it always craves more. Happiness isn't a destination. It's a daily decision, a skill, a muscle, something you build in the small, quiet, inconvenient moments of life, not just in celebrations and mountaintop wins. If you can't find joy in traffic jams, in long grocery lines, in early mornings, and delayed flights, you'll never truly experience it when the big things come, because those are just moments. But real life, it's the in-between. It's the errands, the waiting, the grind, the mess. That's where your mindset is either forged or fractured. The people who live fulfilled lives aren't the ones with perfect circumstances. They're the ones who've learned to flex the muscle of happiness regardless of circumstance, to find beauty in boredom, gratitude in repetition, peace in imperfection. So stop outsourcing your joy to a future version of yourself. Flex that muscle now, smile in the chaos. Breathe in the stress, laugh when it's inconvenient. Because when you build joy in the mundane, you create a life that doesn't need to be perfect to be meaningful. This moment is the training ground. Show up for it, flex the muscle. Live fully right here, right now. We live in a world of now. Instant results, instant feedback, instant gratification. So when the promise is made but the fulfillment takes time, we panic. We doubt, we wonder, did I miss it? Or worse, was I never meant for it? But hear this clearly. Delay is not denial, it's preparation, it's protection. It's the furnace that forges the strength required to carry what you asked for. Because what good is a blessing you're not ready to handle? What's the use of the opportunity if your character can't sustain it? The delay is not meant to break you, it's meant to build you. A sword isn't strong because it was made quickly, it's strong because it was tempered, refined in fire, hammered over and over until it became unbreakable. That's what life does to you during the waiting. It shapes you. It teaches you patience, humility, grit, trust, all the tools you'll need when the promise arrives. The space between the dream and the reality is where champions are built, where your faith is tested, where your roots dig deep so when the storm comes, you don't fall. So don't waste the delay by complaining. Don't curse the process that's shaping you. Instead, lean into it. Work in silence. Grow in the dark. Prepare with intensity, because when the door finally opens, you won't just walk through it, you'll own it. And you'll realize, I wasn't waiting, I was training. The delay's your divine gem. Stay in it. Keep showing up. Your moment is coming and you'll be ready. We're told to aim for the top, climb higher, win bigger, leave your mark. And yes, achievement matters, ambition matters. But here's the truth most miss. The summit means nothing if you arrive alone. The real reward isn't the view from the top. It's who got there with you, the ones you lifted when they were down. The ones you mentored, encouraged, believed in even when no one else did. Because legacy isn't measured in trophies, titles, or dollars. It's measured in people, in lives touched, in stories rewritten because you chose to care. You can chase power, but it fades. You can chase fame, but it vanishes. But when you elevate others, when you light someone else's fire without dimming your own, that impact lasts. The greatest leaders, the ones we remember, weren't just strong climbers. They were builders of others. They didn't just focus on their own mountain. They turned around, reached out, and helped others climb too. So ask yourself, who's hiking beside you? Who are you pulling up, even as you ascend? Because the true summit isn't a place, it's a legacy. And legacy isn't built in isolation, it's built in elevation. Celebrate your wins, but more importantly, celebrate who you became and who you brought with you. That's the kind of success the world can't ignore. Climb high, but never forget real greatness is lifting others as you rise. We chase milestones like they're everything. The promotion, the championship, the applause. And while those moments matter, they're fleeting. Trophies gather dust, accolades fade, the world forgets. But the sunrise you watch with your daughter, the late night talk with your father, the hug you didn't rush, the laugh over a home-cooked meal, that's life. That's the real wealth we're too busy to count. We think legacy is built in stadiums, but it's often built in silence and presence. In choosing to pause, to look someone in the eye, to truly see them. The little things you overlook, they're not little. They're the atoms of a life well lived, the invisible thread that weaves meaning into every ordinary day. Because when it's all said and done, you won't wish you worked more overtime. You'll wish you listened more, held more, loved deeper. You'll remember the way her tiny hand fit in yours, the way your mother smiled when you called, the way time stood still for a moment and you were fully there. So yes, pursue greatness, build, win, climb, but don't lose the treasure of chasing the gold, because the most valuable moments, they never shout, they whisper. Pay attention, be present. Because one day the little things will be all you long to relive. At the end of your life, your to-do lists won't matter. Your bank balance, your follower count, your grind, they'll fade like background noise, because death is the great clarifier, and in that final moment, the truth will hit. It was never about the hustle. It was always about the heart. You won't be craving another business deal. You'll crave one more laugh with your best friend, one more chance to say I love you and mean it, one more sunset without a phone in your hand. The hustle is seductive. It tells you worth is earned through exhaustion. But what your soul truly craves is connection, presence, meaning. Not more hours in the office, but more moments that mattered. Success without joy is failure in disguise. You can have the world and still feel empty if you never stopped long enough to live inside your own life. So today, take the walk without rushing. Call your parents without checking the clock. Hold someone tighter. Laugh louder. Stay a little longer. Because in the end, you won't wish you'd chased more, you'll wish you'd cherished more. Make time for what your future self will thank you for, not what the world tries to sell you. Because when the end comes, you'll realize those soft, ordinary moments were the real gold all along. We're taught to run through life, hustle, achieve, cross finish lines. But what if life isn't a race? What if it's a garden? A space where growth happens quietly, steadily, through care and attention. A garden doesn't bloom overnight. It doesn't rush through the seasons. It grows because someone tends to its water, nurture, patience. The roots deepen, the leaves unfurl, the flowers bloom naturally. Your life is the same. You're not meant to sprint from one goal to the next, only to fall into exhaustion. Instead, you're meant to tend to each moment, to water your relationships, your purpose, your peace of mind. When you do that, you don't have to force the future. Tomorrow's harvest takes care of itself. The true richness of life isn't in the destination, it's in how you care for the small things today, how you invest in people, in your health, in your passions, how you show up fully in each moment, not distracted by the next big thing. If you want a flourishing life, stop running. Start planting, water the connections, cultivate your growth, nurture the present, and trust that the future will rise from it naturally. Because when you focus on the soul, the seeds of tomorrow grow without struggle. Life isn't a race, it's a garden. And the secret is in the tending. If this hits your soul, don't just scroll subscribe and turn wisdom into winning. Your future self will thank you.